All right, I think the attendees are trickling in, so we'll go ahead and get started. So just some quick introductions. My name is Casey Cole. I'm a senior platform specialist here at GroundTruth, and I've been with the company for just about 3 years. So I have plenty of experience working with clients across a variety of verticals and helping consult them on the best ways to set up their campaigns on our platform.
And I'm Cynthia Serrano. I've been a digital marketer for over 20 years. I've worked in ad agencies and on the sales side. I've worked in a variety of verticals, including tech, finance, CPG, and travel and tourism. And I'm a strategic account executive here at GroundTruth. Just a few quick housekeeping notes. All participants will be muted throughout the webinar. We will send a recording to all attendees and registrants after the event is over. You can submit questions via the Q&A function throughout the session, and we will save time for Q&A after the webinar is through. We are requesting that you fill out the poll with your feedback on today's session, and that does have to be done before the webinar ends. The polling closes once the webinar ends. And if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to email adexpert@groundtruth.com, or if you're working with a GroundTruth representative, you can connect with that person as well. So today we're going to touch on who we are. A lot of you are familiar with us, but there are some registrants that haven't worked with us in the past. So we'll give a quick overview. We'll talk about GroundTruth products and services. We're going to touch on some campaign strategies and ways that you should think about setting up your campaign, and then tips and tricks for when you're actually in the Ads Manager platform and actually, doing the work of setting up the campaign. And then last, we will have Q&A. So a little bit about GroundTruth. We are a leader in location-based marketing and technology. We've spent over 12 years mapping the real world and understanding visitation patterns. We use that information to help businesses in a variety of categories to get real-world results beyond impressions and clicks. Some of the things that we can help with are driving measurable leads, driving foot traffic, and increasing sales. So now about our products and our targeting capabilities. We help you reach companies. We help companies reach the right people at the right time and influence their behavior. That's really what we're set up to do. And we do that in a few ways. So our location products help you reach people when they're at a physical location. This could be as broad as people in a particular region, in a city, in a DMA for awareness campaigns, or as specific as when they're near your business, when they cross the threshold of a particular location, or even when they're in your store's parking lot. So it can be, very large or very specific. We can reach people that are at specific residences, and we use this to help companies maximize use of their CRM data. You can also use location to help conquest competitors, guide people in when they're near your store, or when they're near your physical location, to let people know about sale items as they enter your store. So a variety of different uses for location. Our audience products help you reach people based on visitation patterns and demographics. So examples of behavior include gym or fitness enthusiasts, affluent shoppers, do-it-yourselfers, or people that are shopping for cars as examples. Using location audiences, you can also target people that have been to any of our top 100 brands. So a variety of uses for location. And then weather targeting uses our owned and operated property WeatherBug to reach people based on specific weather characteristics. So an example for this is a sunscreen company might want to trigger their campaign to run when it reaches a certain degree and when it's bright and sunny outside. So a variety of ways that you can use our products to target the people that are right for you. So there are a variety of benefits of using location data with GroundTruth. We offer precise targeting across all screens. So you can do, 360-degree advertising campaigns with us. Desktop, mobile, and connected TV. We help you implement localized marketing campaigns. Again, either, very small, like down to your specific location, or localized marketing at scale. If you're comfortable scheduling your own campaigns, we offer self-service. That would be great for you. Or managed service means that we do all the campaign setup and work for you. So a variety of different ways that you can work with us as well. And now we're going to talk about some campaign strategies and strategically setting up your campaigns for success for some of our top verticals. So the first one that we highly recommend is using multiple targeting tactics in your campaigns. For retail, as an example, a department store might want to target luxury shoppers. They could use location to find people who've shopped at department stores in the past, or they could use proximity or location targeting to serve an offer to someone as they walk into the store, or to conquest competitors that are in the vicinity of the location or the store instead. Using multiple tactics is important because it helps ensure that your campaign has enough scale to deliver in full, and it gives you multiple ways to reach that audience and core down on the people that are exactly right for you. So in this example from Ulta, they wanted to drive awareness of new store openings and get people walking in the doors. So they use location audiences to target direct competitors and steal market share. They use behavioral audiences to reach beauty and cosmetic shoppers, and they use proximity targeting to boost awareness among people in the vicinity of the new store locations. And they got great campaign results from all of that targeting and using the multiple tactics. The stores that were supported in the campaign reached the benchmark visitation rates an average of 26 days earlier than stores that were not in the campaign. Also, the stores that were in the campaign were 2.5 times more likely to reach the state's average visitation rate than non-supported stores. In addition, the supported stores reached the visitation rate 43% faster than stores that were not supported in the campaign. So using location data and multiple strategies boosted awareness, foot traffic, and sales for this campaign from day one, and they were very happy with the results. For auto dealers can use behavioral audiences to hone in on luxury car enthusiasts. They can use location audience to help them reach people that have visited specific brands like Audi or BMW. And they can use proximity targeting to reach people that are visiting competitive dealerships. Everyone likes to poach potential customers from their competitors. So those are some strategies that we recommend for auto. And a strategy or tactic that we highly recommend for auto is connected TV and OTT. So auto relies heavily on TV. It's a great vehicle to transmit emotion and because of the visual nature of the medium. Connected TV with GroundTruth allows you to use your existing creative, but more importantly, to layer audience targeting onto that connected TV. So it makes the targeting even more efficient, and it makes the budget even more efficient. Streaming TV ads are usually watched all the way through, which is another great benefit of this medium. And after the campaign is over, we use our location data to report on leads or dealership visits that resulted from the campaign. So CTV with GroundTruth provides great proof of return on your investment. So in this auto case study, we worked with a client who targeted luxury shoppers that were in market for auto across all streaming devices and connected TVs. As you can see, they got almost 100% video completion rate, and they delivered 160,000 impressions and drove 25 visits to their dealerships in only 3 weeks. So the combination of TV and audience targeting yields great success. And for restaurant and QSR, which is the last vertical that I'm going to touch on, they can target behaviors like evening diners. They can reach people that have visited specific brands like Wendy's. And a franchisee group, as an example, can use location targeting to reach people that are in particular DMAs. So location can be broader. It does not have to be very specific down to one location. And for restaurants or even for retail, we highly recommend using dynamic distance overlays in your creative. These are text overlays that let users know how close they are to your nearest location. And that can greatly influence their decision whether to drive to you or to drive to a competitor. We've seen in our campaigns that using dynamic distance overlays can increase visitation rates up to 70%. So this is a great strategy when you're wanting to drive people into your stores and into your locations. We also recommend using GroundTruth's landing pages. These are mobile sites that are what a user is going to see after they click on your ad or your creative. They offer options like use of branding images. You can put offers in them. You can even include video in these, mobile sites. We recommend when you're using landing pages that you include strong calls to action. So you can say things like click for directions, they can click to call. Even more specifically, you can, say things like see menu or shop now. So mobile landing pages are a great vehicle to drive high user engagement. They're a great option for businesses with a physical presence. And now I'm going to turn it over to Casey, and she's going to talk about tips and tricks for when you're actually in the Ads Manager platform and you're setting up your campaigns.
Awesome. Thank you, Cynthia. I'm driving. Okay, perfect. So Cynthia just discussed some amazing strategies for your vertical, depending on your client. So using a multitude of location, audience, cross-device targeting. So whether that's mobile, CTV, desktop, or a combination of the three of them, which is great. So you've put those in action and you've set up your campaign within Ads Manager, but you're still running into a few of the common issues that we get from some new clients. So I wanted to talk through some of the common issues with campaign pacing and setup and help you with some of these tips and tricks for being able to make some changes to that. So the first issue that a lot of clients run into is scale and underpacing. So why is my campaign underpacing? I took all of your suggestions and set up my campaign properly, but I'm still not delivering my full budget. And the main thing that clients want to look at when they're setting up a campaign is the estimated results table on the right-hand side. And that will give you your projected daily impressions and daily reach based off of all of the targeting parameters that you've entered. So that could be the audiences you've selected, your location filter, any demographics, that will all affect how granular your campaign will be, and then our projected daily impressions for that specific targeting parameter. So if your campaign is underpacing, it means that we don't have the projected daily impressions to fulfill the total campaign budget for the flight dates that you've input. And one way to remedy this would be to expand our targeting a little bit so we can get some more impressions, reach additional users on their devices, and serve your fully allocated budget. So I'm going to talk about a few different optimizations and toggles which you have within the platform to help us increase scale and pacing for your specific campaign. So the first optimization would be to include more audience segments if you are running an audience-based campaign. So I created a demo auto campaign for this specific webinar, and the two audiences that I've input are in market for auto and the Honda brand. And these are really great audiences to use if you're running for Honda or Toyota but we just don't have enough scale. So what can we do here to increase our daily impressions? And the first thing would be to add more audiences. So sometimes it's helpful to think outside the box a little bit about what locations your consumer might potentially be visiting. That would be an indicator that they would want to purchase your products. So while we have 2 audiences in here, a recommendation would be to add some more audiences, such as additional auto dealership competitors. Maybe that's Toyota, Hyundai. If you're a more luxury auto dealership, it could be BMW or Audi. And the more audiences that you add into your targeting parameters, the more projected daily impressions we will have to be able to serve your campaign. And one interesting thing to note here is that even if you add in 8 different audience segments instead of 2, we will be able to break out all metrics by the individual audience segment that you targeted. And that way, when you're looking at performance, you can see, did the Honda audience drive the most visits for me, or did the Toyota audience drive the most visits for me? So it's always great to start a little bit larger. And then based on performance, you can sort of whittle down who your real target consumers are and who are driving results, which audience segments are driving results for your specific campaign. The next optimization strategy would be to extend your location filter. So when you're targeting audiences, if you're not running a national campaign, you're either likely running a regional or a very local campaign. So you have the option to enter an entire state for targeting, city, DMA, or even a specific geofence around your business. So for this example, I've added in, a dealership in Santa Monica, California, and a 2-mile radius around that specific dealership. So that's pretty granular. So it means that anyone who's in market for auto and is within 2 miles of your dealership can be targeted with an ad. However, I always encourage my clients to think about what the average distance that someone travels to go to your business location, and then extend the location filter to the average or max driving distance that your consumer is going to travel to visit you. And I think this is really important because if you're too granular, you're going to exclude potential consumers who are outside of that radius. And if you are too macro, you're likely going to be targeting some consumers who are a little too far from driving distance and aren't going to drive the bulk of your visitation. So it's a little bit of a trial and error, and it's good to find a happy medium between super granular and the average travel time to figure out which is the best location filter for your specific campaign. And by extending your location filter to have a larger radius or include more cities or zip codes, we are extending the reach of our campaign. So we're targeting more users. We have more impressions to be served, and we are hopefully driving those consumers down the funnel and increasing visitation for your specific campaign. The next section, which can impact your projected daily impressions, and as I said, these are all toggles that you can choose within your ad group setup. So one of them is demographics. We do have demographics available. If many brands use this if they know that their target consumer is female, age 18 to 44. However, by adding on demographic filters, you are going to be reducing your scale because you're going to be excluding anyone who falls outside of that sort of sweet spot of your demographics. So if we are running with limited scale or limited impressions, sometimes I encourage my clients to remove the demographic filter and focus more on which audiences or locations that we're targeting, because we find that location is the greatest indicator of intent to purchase versus someone's demographic information. And there's always, instances where demographics is really important. But if you leave the demographics open and you focus on your audiences, that is a great place to start, because through our demographic reporting within the dashboard, you'll actually be able to see how many visits came from which demographic sections, where the most click-through came from, where your reach is going. So it actually provides you with a lot more information on your specific consumer, which you can then pivot and dissect to understand where the most engagement or visitation is coming from, versus starting out with a more narrow audience and then not being able to see if anyone outside of that audience is actually engaging with your content. So by choosing all demographics or making your demographics wider, not only will we increase scale and help you deliver more impressions and pace in full, but we'll also provide you with a robust set of information that may provide different insights into who your consumer is on the GroundTruth platform, which may or may not align with your target consumer across other platforms. And then the last main lever, which you can pull in ad group setup, which will increase or decrease your impressions, is optimization strategy. So we have two ways to optimize your ad groups. The first one being delivery, which will maximize the amount of impressions that you can serve. So this will take all of the ad requests that we are receiving and try and fulfill any one of those ad requests to deliver the most impressions possible throughout your campaign. And we always recommend this if you are looking to drive visitation for your campaign, because you'll be able to touch the most devices using delivery and serve impressions fully multiple times across consumers to increase brand recognition and brand awareness, and continue to encourage people to visit your location. But we can also optimize towards click, which is preferable if you are using our GroundTruth landing page, or you are looking for your consumers to take an online action in which they would go to your URL and have a form fill excluding visitation. The one thing about optimizing towards clicks is that it will reduce your scale for the campaign, because it will optimize towards those supply bundles or apps which have historically higher click-through rates. So it's a great strategy if you're looking to drive online conversions. Delivery will get you more impressions and is great if you're looking to drive visitation and maximize your reach. But I think it's just important to know which each of those two optimization strategies is best for your specific KPI and your campaign. So that sort of sums up the 4 different levers that you can pull to help increase your daily impressions and help your campaigns pace in full, whether it's altering or adding to your audience segments, expanding your location filters, removing or adding demographics, and then lastly, choosing your optimization strategy for that specific ad group. And then aside from not pacing, we do sometimes have clients reach out and say, my campaign is not spending at all. What did I do wrong? So I wanted to lay out a few key things to look for if you know that you've set up your campaign and it's activated, but it's not spending. And so the first one would be to look at the location groups which you're targeting. So if you're creating a custom audience for targeting, that's done through a location group, as well as when you're inputting your drive-to destination for visitation tracking. All of those addresses are input into Location Manager and then chosen within your ad group setup. So when you add locations to your location group, it will prompt you to enter your addresses. And then when you submit those addresses and business names, they're bucketed into the 4 fields, which are outlined here. So accepted locations would be, we already have this location blueprinted in the system. It matches the polygon, which we have, so that will show up as accepted. You can also have invalid addresses where maybe you spelled the address name wrong, so it's showing up as invalid. If we have multiple addresses that match different blueprints within the system or different business names, your address might populate under the location conflicts tab. So it's important to click on that and then make sure you choose whether you want to accept one of the locations that's already in our system or to choose to save this new location. And then lastly, we have rejected locations, which could populate if you don't enter the exact business name associated with that specific address, or the business has closed and our verification system doesn't verify that it's active. So whenever you're adding custom audiences or even drive-to destinations, it's really important to review all of the locations that you've added and make sure that they are falling within the accepted tab. Because if you enter 5 locations and all 5 of them fall within the conflict or even rejected locations, your campaign won't spend. And that is because if your main KPI is to track visitation and the location group which you've entered for visitation tracking doesn't have any addresses in it, our system doesn't want to run impressions that we can't attribute visits for. So that could be one reason why your campaign isn't spending. And simply going into Location Manager and making sure that all of the addresses that you've entered have been accepted is a really easy check and balance for campaigns not spending. The second reason that your campaign might not be spending is due to the creative assets. So after you go through the targeting parameters, when you go to the add creative section and click on add a new image, it will prompt you to upload your creative sizes here. So our top 4 creative sizes are listed when you do go in to upload your creatives, and those make up 95% of all mobile inventory. Those top sizes include 320 by 50, 300 by 250, 320 by 480, and 728 by 90. So I recommend to all my new clients, make sure that you have all 4 of those sizes. That will give you the most inventory, so it'll help with pacing. But if you don't have any of those accepted sizes in there, then your campaign will not spend. So it's important if you do have any campaigns which are under pacing or not spending to go in and check and make sure that you have the top 4 accepted creative sizes in there. Because that will affect the campaign spend. And then another quick one is that if your creative assets are paused, the campaign won't be spending. It seems intuitive, but if you are rotating in and out new creative, whether it's month over month or for new initiatives, it is possible that some of your creatives will remain paused, and that will obviously affect their ability to run. So just make sure you go in and check on your creatives, make sure that they're all activated and that you have all of the proper creative sizes in there. And then the last reason why your campaign may not be spending is because in order to fully activate a campaign, you will need to activate it on the ad group level. So that is this first green button down here where it shows the status as paused. When you activate that on the ad group level, that ad group will start spending, but in order for it to start spending, your campaign will need to be activated within your campaign dashboard as well. And that can be done by clicking on this play button, which was shown in the top example, in order to activate the campaign. So really simple, but important to know, once you upload your campaign, it needs to be activated on the campaign level, and then you'll need to go into that campaign and activate all of the ad groups in order for it to start running. Seems really simple, but just wanted to reiterate it as it takes a little bit to get used to after you launch your first campaign. The third one, which actually is not in here, but just wanted to reiterate, is that if you are new to the platform, you need to upload an validated credit card in order for your campaigns to start running. It is possible to set up campaigns, play around in the platform, and get comfortable without uploading that credit card. But in order for campaigns to run, you will need to have a valid credit card in there. And that may be something that you want to look out for. It will show up as an alert at the top of the screen, letting you know that you don't currently have an active credit card. But that would be another reason why your campaign is not spending, or if your credit card has been canceled and you have a new one, you'll need to update a new one. So just a few top line things for new clients, aside from your campaign not spending, and now on how to increase spending and performance for current campaigns that are in the platform. And that is all from my end. The last thing that we wanted to mention is that our GroundTruth foot traffic tracker is updated and available on our GroundTruth website. This provides really valuable insights per vertical on foot traffic data, how different verticals are performing as we open up restrictions for COVID throughout the US and individual regions, and is really interesting to keep up to date with the latest info on consumer trends. So if you do have an upcoming campaign, there could be some really valuable insights in there for you to check out. And I think we are going to do some Q&A. So I will answer this live from Elaine. Sometimes I'll have a size 3:10 by 480 and the ad will be viewed twice and click through twice, but then no more impressions of that size are served. Why does this happen? If you have multiple creative sizes in there, those ad sizes that make up a larger portion of mobile in-app inventory will serve more often than some of those larger ad units, such as a 320 by 480, which makes up a smaller portion of mobile in-app inventory. Some things I discuss with clients are those larger ad units sometimes require a higher CPM, since we do advertise programmatically and we are bidding across everyone who is bidding on that inventory throughout the space. So if you really want to focus on those higher res, larger ad unit sizes, I may recommend increasing your CPM slightly, as this will help us win additional ad bids across those specific units.
We have a question. Oh, I'm sorry, Casey.
Go ahead.
What is OTT? So connected TV and OTT, which stands for over the top, both refer to streaming video. So the ads in these cases would run on a platform like Hulu. So it's, not on broadcast TV and not on cable. So it's in your streaming platform services. And again, the great benefit is that those ads are, for the most part, are going to deliver in full, and people are going to watch them all the way through.
Perfect. And then we have another question here. What would cause the inability to deliver impressions if the campaign was set up using the numbers that Ads Manager provided? So if you are following our impressions tool and it's showing that you have 5,000 impressions per day and you aren't serving any impressions, some things to look out for would be, as I mentioned, making sure that you have the right creative sizes in there. If you don't, even if we are showing 5,000 projected daily impressions, we can't serve creative sizes that we don't accept. So that could impact it. Making sure that your drive to destination has an accepted location group that would prevent your ad from serving. And then another thing to think about would be your CPM. So if you're running static banners, a $3.50 CPM is our floor. If you are running video, we recommend an $8 CPM, just because across the ad space, people bid more for video. So if you're running a $3.50 for a video, even though we have impressions, that might indicate why you aren't winning any of those, because we're not bidding competitively enough.
We have a similar question from Chadrick Moore. Is the higher the bid price, the more people will see the ad? And to Casey's point, yes, we are bidding in a programmatic environment. So higher CPMs in most cases will yield you more impressions because you're going to be winning more of the bids. And then he asks, should a 7-day campaign bid price be higher than that for a 3-month ad campaign? And absolutely, you want your CPM to be higher for a short-term campaign, again, so you have more opportunity to win the bids and higher chance that your all of your impressions that you want to serve will deliver in full.
Awesome. And then we have another question, which is, where can I find the landing page art sizes? So if you actually go into the creative section within Ads Manager and you try to create a landing page, it will provide you with the needed pixels or ad sizes for the header image, coupon, or secondary image directly within Ads Manager. You can also reach out to your platform specialist or account rep, and we can send you our spec sheet with the exact sizes needed for the landing page. I can answer one more. Chad asked, how far should you set your radius for a specific address in a residential area? So that would depend. If you are looking to target a residential address, we would actually recommend that you use our residential targeting product. So we can ingest a list of over 100 residential addresses, map those to the actual home parcels, and then determine the mobile device IDs that reside at those addresses, and serve ads to all of those residences in bulk to assure that we are abiding by consumer privacy restrictions, and create an audience segment for you on the back end. We usually don't recommend targeting a radius for residential addresses just for scale and privacy issues, but feel free to reach out to your rep or the ad expert's email, and we can definitely send you some more information on our residential targeting product.
Casey, Heather is asking if a mobile campaign is optimizing towards delivery, towards impressions. Does it make sense to include fewer ad sizes so that more of the budget spends on that ad size? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but I think that in all cases, we advocate inputting as many creative sizes as you can and as you have to maximize, your opportunities to win impressions and for your campaign to deliver in full.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that. As I mentioned before, the 320 by 50 and 300 by 250 make up, those two specifically make up about 80% of mobile in-app inventory. So just due to the sheer scale and availability, those will often serve the majority of impressions. If you were looking to run a larger ad size, such as a 728 by 90 or a 320 by 480, it is possible to break those 4 units, so 2 and 2, into 2 ad groups and bid a little bit higher on one ad group to focus on running those larger scale images, and then keeping the CPM the same with the other 2. But we would recommend having all ad sizes in the campaign in some capacity. I was going to say, so Mark said, I'm targeting a small city. Does metro size influence price? So we do not have fluctuating prices. For mobile banner, we have a $3.50 floor CPM, mobile video $8, desktop would have the same $3.50, and then CTV and OTT are higher at $25 for OTT and $30 for CTV. So your scale will change based on your metro size. If you're targeting a small rural area versus New York City, the scale of the campaign is going to fluctuate, but we will have the same prices per impression across either one of those.
Richard asked about the accepted video resolution and time. I know that the maximum video length that we accept is 30 seconds. And that video resolution, or file size limitations are available in Ads Manager. Casey, would you happen to know off the top of your head?
So for video, the maximum file weight size is 50 megabytes. And we do have direct video upload available within the platform now. That is super exciting and is relatively new over the past few months. So when you do, similar to how you would upload an image banner, if you click on video, it will give you all of the video specs within the platform. So the ideal resolution is 1920 by 1080, and the max file size would be 50 megabytes. And you can find all of that information within the platform. One other person asked, does the GroundTruth landing page still say powered by GroundTruth? So the landing page will default to saying that at the bottom. However, it is customizable. So you can remove it or alter the wording to be associated with your specific business.
Thanks for all the questions, everyone.
I know. What program do you recommend to make your banners? That is a great question. And if you reach out to your account exec, we have some resources which we can recommend for banner creation. I think they are on the affordable side, and you can do them on the internet. So I don't have the exact web pages off the top of my head, but feel free to reach out to ad expert or your platform specialist account executive, and we can send through some recommendations for banner creation. Do you have a minimum spend recommended to run a foot traffic study? I think we would need more information on exactly what type of foot traffic study you're looking to run and what is available through the platform. I know our managed service team has some additional studies which are available. So feel free to reach out and we can figure out what you're looking for and what we can provide through the self-serve platform specifically. What should your bid be for a 7-day campaign? I think that will depend on scale. So if you are running a regional 7-day campaign, which has a lot of impressions available, a lot of scale, you can usually run the floor CPM. If you are running, let's say, an event campaign or a highly targeted campaign that's running for a short time period, we usually recommend a $5 or an $8 CPM. And that's just because the niche or more granular targeting in combination with the short flight date makes it ever more important for you to win as many of those ad requests as possible during that short time frame. So in that case, if it's a granular or event campaign for a short flight, we recommend a higher CPM. If it's a regional or a large scale campaign, then you're usually safe with the floor CPM for that specific device. I'll answer one more. When you upload the ad sizes, it asks what API type and says it defaults to MRAID 2. Do you have any recommendations on using this field? So we recommend that you leave it on MRAID 2. That is just if you're using a reporting or trafficking API, which our self-serve clients are not. So it will automatically default to that, and I would recommend leaving it as is because it shouldn't affect your campaigns on the self-serve platform.
We have a question about number of recommended minimum of targets for targeting households or residential targeting. We recommend a minimum of 100 and higher if you can. So we need to make sure that we have enough that we're not targeting just for privacy issues and privacy concerns, that we're not able to identify the households, and also for matching rates. So we want to make sure that we have enough, that we're not in violation of privacy concerns. So we need to have a minimum of 100 households matched to run residential targeting. So we recommend 200 as a minimum for files that are provided to us.
We have another question on, do you have any info on what to include for making a successful ad unit? And we're happy to pass through a one sheet if you want to reach out after the call. We actually did a webinar last year on creative best practices, but I think the main thing is to have an image that is an indication of your business or your product. We recommend keeping it less than 5 words, so that way you're able to understand what the ad is advertising for in a short scan through. Having a call to action is important. So whether that's visit now, get more info, making sure that the user understands what action you want them to take in order to fulfill your either visit or fulfill your form needs. And those all lead to higher CTRs. So we definitely have a one sheet with stats on CTR in comparison to different ad units that we can pass along.
So we have one that I love. A client wants to know how he can find out if a competitor is targeting him. I think we all like to know that, but I don't believe there's a way that we can, provide that information. And I'm not sure how they would find that out. But yeah, competitive conquesting is, so effective. I think we would all love to get that information, but there's not a way that we're able to provide that. I love that question.
That is great. Another one, what is the source of data for demographic targeting? So currently that data is passed to us through the over 100,000 apps that we have partnerships with. So when users sign up for a new app, often it will ask them information such as age range, their gender, demographic information. So we aggregate all of that information from the current apps that we partner with, and that is what powers our demographic information in the platform. However, we are always working on making that more robust and improving our data sources there. So I think that in the coming months, we'll be getting some more and continuing to improve upon that information.
And then for more specific demographic information, right? So there's some information that we can't glean from location. We do work with third-party, providers of information, and that can help us get at, information like job title, targeting and other things that are more specific that can be layered on with location in order to, drive the outcomes that the client is looking for in the campaign.
And then another question, do you have stats on how your GroundTruth landing pages perform compared to brand landing pages? We do have a one sheet on some of the improvements to CTR or visitation when using our GroundTruth landing page. So if you, again, want to reach out to your rep or even ad experts, we are happy to send that specific information over.
There are questions about iOS 14. We do have information about that. It's addressed on our website. So I don't think we're going to get into that, the impact of that as a topic in this webinar, but I would refer you to our GroundTruth website for information about the impact of that change.
All right. I think that we have answered the majority of questions. So if anyone has any other questions that come up after the webinar, please don't hesitate to, as I said, reach out to your account representative or ad experts email, which is on the slide. And then we will be sending a wrap of the video as well as a follow-up email to everyone who signed up. So again, thank you so much for joining in, hoping that this was helpful, and stay tuned for our next webinar.
Thank you.